Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our new edition of Big Brother 25 live feed spoilers. We are now in the 60s in terms of days that this massive 100-day season is going on.
Yeah, we're getting through it, everybody. Together, we're getting through this very long season.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay, so this is going to be a very interesting video because your tinfoil hats need to be out. They need to be ready to be placed upon your head at any given
All
moment.
right, I've already got mine going on.
Okay, because there's a lot of that going on online in terms of the house, in terms of BB Twitter. The veto ceremony is a little bit later. We will set the stage for all of that, what could be happening with it.
Absolutely. There is a lot to get into in this video, but before we get too much further into the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We have lots of Big Brother coverage that's going to be continuing on all season long. We're going to be here with you, multiple times a week, and we're also covering Survivor. I mean, the premiere was last Wednesday. It was a premiere. Let's just say that. We have our review up on that crazy clown car here at the channel if you want to check that out as well. But by subscribing to the channel, you really help support us, and we really appreciate everyone who has subscribed. So thank you very much.
Okay, so before we get any further into this, just a quick little technical note. If you hear any buzzing noises throughout this video, the neighbors have decided bright and early on a Monday morning that this would be the best time to saw things with aggression and power and loudness. It seems okay right now, but if you hear it a little bit later, we cannot cast an eviction vote for the people deciding to saw things, so that's just happening with our apologies.
Okay, so let's talk about Cameron and his HOH. So he's decided to nominate Felicia, my girl Felicia, and Nicole. And in the diary room last night, he confirmed that Felicia was 100% the target at that time. Though remember that in his past HOH, he claimed he wasn't telling the diary room everything. So take that for what you will. And this is why we have our tinfoil hats on this early, because with Cameron, he really is kind of a wild card, and you don't always know exactly what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, like we're going to catch everything up here to the veto ceremony as we move on. But before the veto competition even happened, like, Cam didn't have a ton of serious conversations about using it. Like, Blue was thought of as kind of a likely replacement nominee in the event that Nicole ended up winning. He didn't really specify what would happen if Felicia won. I mean, that may have been for a reason. We'll get into that a little bit later on here as well.
Yeah, okay, so the veto players were Cameron, Nicole, Felicia, Matt, America, and Blue.
Yeah, and as it's been mentioned already in the past on the show, this veto was a really creepy, sort of darkly lit movie product placement comp designed to scare everybody. The scary verse is back in place. It took place outside of the house, so the backyard has been open. There's been, people coming in and out. Like, it seemed like it might have actually been fun if you like legitimately scary and or spooky stuff. This is spooky season, everybody, so you might as well embrace it.
Okay, listen, talking about spooky season for just a second here. On October 12th, The Fall of the House of Usher is coming up on Netflix. We've been able to see it before it's come out. It is the show of the year, and that's saying a lot because Silo also came out this year, and it is really good. But this show, if you are looking for a scare, this is the show based on Edgar Allan Poe's works.
It's really, like, legit, really, really, really good. It's probably infinitely scarier than whatever this veto competition actually is.
Absolutely. Okay, so who won the veto? Let's all take a guess. It's Cameron, who seems to be really the only person that truly feels like he knows he needs to, like, win his way to the end. But at this point, like, with the veto, he doesn't really need to win this. Like, he would have been all right.
Yeah, it's really one of these sort of things where at this point, Cameron's just like, you know what? I'm playing with house money. Nothing really matters. He's going to be in danger the moment he doesn't win something. So you might as well just continue to just win however much you want to win.
He's on borrowed time. There's like 40 days left. Like, can he win all the way to the end? I mean, sure, yeah, he
Yeah.
can. I mean, that can happen. We've seen people like go on a huge streak.
Yeah.
And if you've got other people in the house that are kind of wishy-washy about like, maybe I want to win HOH, but if somebody else wins, that makes it a little bit easier for me. And there seems to be a lot of people that are in that frame of mind.
Yeah.
Cameron's just going to keep winning everything.
Is this what's funny to me is, and I've seen these comments, I've seen it on social media that like Cameron does have his legion of fans, and I'm not taking anything away from any of them, but there is a lot of this. Cameron's playing a great game. Cameron should win. Like I've seen some of that.
Mhm.
Cameron is playing a great competition game. Like a really like the amount of dominance that he's had in a lot of different competitions. Like you have to tip your cap to him.
There's no denying it.
Now, is Cameron playing a great every other part of Big Brother? No, and that's not an insult to Cameron. That's just what it is. There's a reason why a lot of people want him out of the house.
Yeah, and the biggest part of this game that matters the most is not competition wins. It never has been. We've seen people win this game and not win any competitions. We've seen people, it's about the social aspect of this game, because if the jurors go out the door and they don't feel good about you or your game, or you haven't been that nice to them, or you made them go out looking like a clown, bitter jury's real, and that will happen. That is the most important part of this game. I've said it time and time again. We'll die on this hill. You need that vote, or it doesn't matter if you won your way to the end. It just doesn't matter. Look at what happened to Dan.
Okay, I'm gonna try not to bring back those memories, but yeah, it's so true.
I'm not saying like Ian didn't play a great game, but I mean that game that Dan played was wild. But some people went out the door feeling like a clown, and this is what happened.
Okay, so after the veto happened, I think Cameron starts to open the door a little bit as to what and this is just one of many tinfoil hat discussions here. What may have been his true plan all along, which was to shift the target to Corey, which is mostly just funny because, I mean, we even talked about this, that like Cameron had this pecking order and he listed all of them off, and Corey wasn't even in the top 3 at that point, and now Corey all of a sudden becomes like, number 1 public enemy in his mind. And he feels like Corey is starting to get really full of himself, is trying to turn allies against one another, but he did claim in the midst of this post-veto campaigning that he would only make the move if his fellow fugitives, Matt and Jag, were both on board with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He also then, floated the idea past Blue a little bit later that day, and Blue also seemed okay with it. So Saturday, he's kind of sprinkled a little bit of seeds into the dirt, and he's just sort of waiting to see if those are going to like sprout up. Now I feel like I'm doing with all these hand signs, one of those like childhood musicals where that feels like that's okay. I trust me, I don't have that
video turning into.
It can't be shadow puppets. You're actually seeing my hands, but it's close. Okay, Sunday, there started to be a little bit more pushing about the plan, trying to make this plan happen. Jag was really the person who was a little bit more reluctant. And I mean, that idea gave Cameron a little hesitation, since he may have some sort of side deal with Corey. And really, this is how I kind of see it, is that Jag is just trying to insulate himself on all sides. He feels okay with Corey at this point. I think he's a little bit more hesitant to make some sort of big move when it could put him in greater jeopardy. And once again, Jag is. It's very funny that he's playing the game really cautiously for a guy who was basically already evicted from this season.
Jag, man, we are 60 days in. Like, at this point, it's now, like, I understand playing cautiously, but you can't win this game playing cautiously. You can't.
This is why, we're recording this video on a Monday morning. This is really why I think anything could still happen amidst a couple of scenarios in the veto ceremony, because Cam and Matt both made some arguments to Jag, and Jag grew more receptive a little bit over time
Hmm.
on Sunday, but eventually Cam decided that it didn't matter. He was just going to make the move and Jag would have to deal with it, which is the most like quintessential Cameron thing that he could possibly do in this house.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's tough because as the HOH, you want to get out who you want to get out. But
Yeah.
if you don't have the votes, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it all comes down to, again, social game and having
Yeah.
good arguments and being able to get people on your side to be able to do what you want while you're in power. And that's what makes it difficult.
And what makes all of this, I think, so difficult and in a way so funny is just that this idea of, okay, we're going to try to backdoor Corey, we're going to get this in motion. Like, is this a secret? Is it not a secret? Like, so many people over Sunday seem to kind of figure this out. Like, we already talked about Blue, Matt, Jag. Matt indicated to Sari that that this Corey move could be happening. And the way that it's supposed to work, if it does happen, it's going to be that Felicia is going to be taken off the block, which is also funny because that's Cameron's original target here.
Yeah, I know.
And so, like, Felicia's already been kind of burned by all this, and now you're going to take her off the block. It would be Nicole versus Corey.
Hmm.
And Corey would need 4 votes in order to stay. And, like, let's just say, even if he had Jag, America, Bowie, Jane, and that those 3 are in his corner, it's still not enough. I mean, he would
Hmm.
need Felicia, Matt, Blue, or Sari. I don't know how he would pull that off versus Nicole, who's got a really good alliance with Felicia and hasn't really wronged a lot of people in the
Hmm.
game.
Yeah, it's true.
So now we get to the part of this where we hit the curve just a little bit, where we went to bed feeling like, okay, this is going to happen. This move's going to happen.
Yep.
Jag spends a ton of the night trying to save Corey, doing whatever he could. At first, it seemed like he wasn't really getting anywhere, but Matt started to get a little bit more on board with it over time. The irony in all this is that Corey actually thinks that Jag should leave before Matt, and yet here is Jag also fighting harder than anybody to try to save Corey in the game.
Listen, that might actually end up working to his benefit because if that is how Corey feels, it may be able to change if he's like, oh, you know what? Look at what Jag has been doing
Yeah.
for me. Jag is really out there, putting himself out there to save me at a time that I need it. I'm not going to forget that.
This is so tough because like it makes sense for Cameron to go after Corey. Like it absolutely does. If he wants to just win his way to the end, I mean, at the very least, Corey won the double HOH. He is good at like memory stuff. He is really smart. He knows this game really, really well. I mean, going ahead and doing this, I understand it. I also understand the idea, and maybe Jag is thinking this too, that you guys keep taking out HOHs and threats, and I know Jag hasn't won an HOH, but eventually you take out enough threats, and then you're the only threat left, and then it's just like, oh no, I'm the one in trouble now.
I mean, Cameron's going to be in trouble regardless. Like, he can't play in the
Yeah.
HOH next week unless he wins veto. He's gone.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine anyone at this point wanting to keep him. Now, this is where things get a little bit crazy, and there's a lot of debate going on here overnight
Yeah.
because Cameron goes to the diary room at one point, and it seemed like he was very much on board with, okay, I'm going to make the Corey move. Then he comes back, and he's basically all of a sudden okay with Felicia going, and that this is going to be the move, that it's going to happen. And this, of course, leads to all the tinfoil hat discussion that did production sway Cameron into keeping Corey in the game, Big Brother fan Corey, so Corey can end up being a part of the jury or X, Y, or Z. Like, is that really what's going on here?
I really hope not. That's just irritating. Like, Cameron has to do what's right for him, and Corey will absolutely end up coming after him. This is not the move. So my hope is that, if Tinfoil Hat is still
all
on,
right, good.
production just railed on him all night, questions about Corey or trying to push something else or a different agenda, that by the time he left the diary room and he was like, bah, just threw up his hands at it, be like, whatever you want. That by the time he's woken up today, that he'd be more like, you know what? no, production, I'm gonna do what I want. You got me to say whatever. We don't know yet. I agree. This is tinfoil hat. Oh,
Yeah.
fine. I agree to what you want, but you can't stop me from actually just doing what I want. And Cameron has shown time and time again that he is a guy who will do what he wants. So he may have decided to just, placate the producers to be like, okay, whatever you want. Bah! And
Yeah.
then woke up today and was just like, okay, you know what? I need to like shake that off and just get back into what I want to do. That's why it's like, we're recording this Monday morning,
Yeah.
but I mean, whatever's going to change is going to change. It's going to change pretty quick.
Some minor spoilers here from Mr. Robot, a show that is several years old, and that I have a point, trust me. Mr. Robot, there's this big twist that happens over the course of it when you realize that Rami Malek's character is a very unreliable narrator. Cam at times is the Rami Malek of Big Brother, where it feels like he may tell us one thing, he may say one thing. I do not trust him as somebody who is actually saying what's on his mind. And with that in mind, I know I just don't want to sit here and say, oh, Felicia's for sure going to be the target right now, or Corey's going to for sure be the target. Because until the veto ceremony is over, this is not one of those typical Big Brother players where you can really say with confidence exactly what is going to happen. Like, I will say this, though, to production. Felicia would be a great juror. Like, you guys should be fine if Felicia ends up staying, because Felicia's funny, and I understand that Corey also has his fans, and you love to clutch onto that showman's like nobody's business. But I just think having Felicia on the jury would be a really good time. But if Corey goes up, he's probably leaving.
Well, it's just great TV. I mean, she just is on the live feeds on the show. She's great TV. She always just says what's on her mind, which is, she just feels genuine,
Yeah.
like a type of personality that we don't usually get to see. Because I mean, a lot of Big Brother is lying and scheming. I'm not saying that she's not able to do that or hasn't been doing
Yeah.
that, but she is a bit more of a what you see is what you get, which is one of the reasons I really liked Carolyn from Survivor last
Yeah.
season. What you see is what you get. And she was able to also kind of, be a schemer and hide secrets or whatever, but it really was what you see is what you get. And it's nice to have people like that on the show that, I can really relate to.
I think at the end of the day, I'm always team chaos. I'm always team, Hamster Watch says team fun feeds. Like I'm always just,
Aw.
I want to just do whatever's going to be the most entertaining at the end of the day. And Corey going up on the block and like scrambling and all that, like that would give us content. And ultimately that would be exciting. We'll see what happens though. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other Big Brother coverage that is coming your guys' way. Thank you as well to our patrons for your support.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate that. We'll see you guys here next time.